Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar, The Confidence Catalyst. Today I have amazing speakers joining me. Adeola Doe, a mindset coach, Amina Bint Mohammed, Executive Director of Shafin, and Thelma Ibe, the CEO of FMR Agency. So we're going to be doing a deep dive in confidence building, mindset shifting, and on the cusp of International Women's Day. How excited are you for this conversation?
Super excited, actually, super excited.
Yeah?
I think that for me, the feelings are plenty, right? It's mixed feelings for me. The wake of what has been going on, today, yesterday rather, and the whole senator thingy, and I'm like, come on, it's Women's Month. Why are we doing this? But before yesterday, I was kind of excited that it's Women's Month. Yeah. So for me, I'm just there.
Okay, what about you, Adeola?
I think I would agree with what she said. I'm excited to dive into the conversation, but following all the things that have happened, March has just started, but so much everywhere. So
It's too early.
yeah,
When
in
you
between.
when you say the things that have been happening, what are you talking about?
Just look at the issue with the senator, and I
For
still.
by the way, the reason why I'm asking is that our guests might not be from Nigeria.
Oh, definitely.
So we have a wide range of people that follow our accounts and people that are registered for the webinar from different parts of the continent. Thank you so much for tuning in. But it's very important that you would say what you're trying to say so that they have a better understanding. And maybe they could then go and do some research about it.
And
Yes.
lend their voice is very important.
Yes. So it just actually shows. So I was speaking about the senator issue in Nigeria, right? So you can do your research so that we don't bore you with a lot of details. And I still heard another one about something that happened in Lagos about somebody in IKDC or something like that. So it just goes to show that we really need to be having these conversations more, which is why I'm excited.
Okay. And for you, Amina?
Of course, it's the whole Senate President thingy and Senator Natasha Kuti, and she basically came out to say that he abused her sexually, he harassed her sexually, I'm trying to make sure I use the right terminology. I think allegedly harassed her sexually, and I think that she submitted a petition to say that she was petitioning, of course, that so that actions, justice she could seek justice, and the next thing the Senate they hit her with is a 6-month suspension, and it came off yesterday, and I'm like, yo, where, how? How? And again, I've been seeing a lot of conversation that keeps reminding me of the reason why we do what we do.
Yeah.
Because we keep telling women to speak up, victims, survivors rather, of sexual abuse and other abuses. We keep telling them to speak up, to not be silent. We want to kill the culture of silence. And the one who speaks up,
Is
as
rewarded.
senator, you would think that she's kind of immune to this kind of bullying.
Yeah.
Everybody's watching. I saw BBC picked it, CNN picked it. You would think she should be immune to this kind of bullying because she spoke up, beg your pardon. But it's happening to her, and I'm now thinking, me with my small veil and my very small circle of people, and I'm not even a senator. If I experience abuse, am I safe?
Yeah.
So, because she alleged that this sexual harassment happened while she was a sitting senator, I think it brings up a lot of. It's a cause for concern.
Yes.
And I think that's why even a lot of people are having a hard time. It's bad. It's bad enough that it's happening to her, but it's bad enough that it's happening right now as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Of all time.
As
Yes.
we're encouraging people to speak up, and trying to break barriers, of
And build
women
barriers.
advancing into leadership positions. This is 1 out of 4 women currently in the Nigerian Senate, right? And when she spoke up,
This is what.
maybe I don't know if they went through due process properly, but they alleged that the ethics committee sat and deliberated, and that was their recommendation. But don't you agree with me that this is one of the fastest this is one of the fastest recommendations or fastest turnaround time for any issue?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I agree.
I heard the national anthem. It was so rapid. Oh my god! Before I know, I have a new national anthem.
What's happening?
So it can be this fast.
So exactly. So for me, I feel 2 ways about it. That it's a shame that this is happening to any woman, but
Yeah.
to a sitting senator. But it's also a shame that it is only when situations like this happen that the government decides to act fast and act now. I think it was 24 to 48 hours.
And we got
Anyway, I don't want Natasha. Our heart goes out to you, but I don't want her to take over our entire webinar because of the reason why we're here. Okay. So, Amina, leadership requires a lot of tough decisions, right? And in your experience with entrepreneurship and obviously specifically targeted to women, how can women entrepreneurs develop resilience and confidence when navigating certain challenges? I'd like you to tell us a little bit about some of these challenges, maybe one or two examples.
So the thing I like a lot about leadership personally is that a lot of people will tell you that join my leadership class and I have master class for
no shade.
Oh my god. Oh sorry, no shade, of course no shade.
Oh no.
But what I'm trying to say is that leadership is not exactly a quality that is taught. Right? You can learn, you can pick nuggets, you can pick a thing or two from the way other people do what they do. But most importantly, there are certain aspects of leadership, certain components of leadership that you just have to experience. It goes beyond, I did a masterclass and she said, as a leader, you need to be assertive. How? For real. So these are things that until you are right there, experiencing it, that's how you overcome it. I give you a good example, personal one. Recently I started a job, a leadership position. I think that lately I've been really, the roles I've been taking, consultancy, etc. They have really been putting me in places where I have to play the role of a leader. And typical, I think one of the major challenges that we experience as women in these positions is mostly because the men think that you do not deserve to be here. I think first and foremost, oftentimes when you go to a place as a leader where you have a lot of men, women, children, you just name it, it's really plenty of persons of different age group, etc. and gender. The major bottleneck I've always experienced personally is always with the men. I'm not saying that women are beautiful and perfect and they don't give you headaches, but first and foremost with the men, they want you to first and foremost prove yourself that you deserve to be here. They don't care that you had maybe 4 stages of interview before you got there. You have to prove that you're not just a pretty face. Oh no, it's not that your bum is big, it's just that you can actually get the job done. A personal experience now is that, so I'm trying to tie it back to the fact that I'm trying to give a specific challenge and how best to address it. So when I started the job, and I know that the first day I met him, he was supposed to report to me, and something happened. He was supposed to give me something though, he was supposed to hand over something, and he was becoming chaotic. And I've been in leadership position since I was 15. My dad actually has businesses, so he just really places you. My dad does not really care about. He does not see age. The fact that I am first female and second child, bam. During holiday, manage this particular business, you dare not fail. So I've learned, learned my way around there. So when he started and he's married, he's got kids, so typically already he's feeling like, who is this person? Small girl, right? And
not small girl.
No, oftentimes that's what they really
Yes.
They're like, we are not. Do you understand? So typically he was doing this he was just lashing out. I said something and he was lashing out. And the first thing I did was disengage. So I just kept quiet. So I let him talk. And as soon as he was done, now the assertion comes in. And then in clear terms, I said, you are going to do this by this time before the close of business. I want to tell my team. And that's on period. And that was the only thing I said, and I left that conversation. But oftentimes women are quite very emotional.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you want to engage. How dare you? You're supposed to be reporting to me. But
I'm not defending that's it, done.
But what I've come to learn over time is that as a leader, you do not have the privilege, you do not have the audacity to be rowdy. And I'm not saying that.
Word.
I know that oftentimes they only see women as, nurturing and all of that. But I'm just saying that at the same time, especially men expect you to react in a certain way. They'll be like, women have too much drama. In his one, he even said, what's all this drama? He told me, me, what's all this drama? Me. Right? But in my head, I'm like, no, I do not have the audacity to be this person that he wants me to be. I am a leader, and I need to be assertive at this particular time. That was our first disagreement. If I allow him to walk over me, if I allow him to get to get me to start engaging with him, exchanging words, I've lost my respect. Invariably. That's how, it goes without saying. So typically what I did, I just disengaged. First and foremost, I'm trying to let you know that I am not going to stoop low. I am not going to be at your capacity.
Yeah.
And that is where the assertive and constant. And that's one challenge that women actually face. Another one off the top of my head I know is that oftentimes people always assume that you are not good for the role.
Yeah.
Being a woman. It's typical. Even with founders, they find it hard to, when it's just these days that we're having the whole women-led organizations, everybody now saying, oh, you have to be a women-led organization now. But before now, even if like the NGO sector alone, if you go into the business world now, the corporate society, and you find out that investors are quite more skeptical to invest in women because they start thinking, oh, she has family, especially when you're married with kids, she might not give the business her all, etc. One thing I always tell women is that you need to know your onions. I was watching this movie by Tyler Perry, I think 6888.
Yeah.
And Kerry Washington said something.
People really like that movie.
Very great movie.
I'm not a fan of it.
Really?
Go ahead.
Have you seen it though?
I have. I watched it the week it came out.
Kerry Washington said something to the black woman. She said that you do not have the I can not verbatim, I'm trying to paraphrase now. Something around, you do not have the privilege to be as good as the white woman. You have the responsibility to be better. It's the same thing with women in this patriarchal society. Don't think that I'm good, like I know the basics. You don't have that, right? You don't have that privilege. You have to be exceedingly good.
Yeah.
That's why I keep telling women, you need to read the books, read those books, get good at it. When you stand in a room, you need to be able to command it. And for you to be able to command it, you need to be very knowledgeable. Like personally, when I went to go speak at an event that I'm not very vast on the topic, my confidence level is it dwindles. Like I'm like, I don't know. What did they shoot me on with?
And you don't know what to say.
You don't know what
Compared to when it is something that I extensively I know about it, oh my god. See, even if you shoot me a question I know the answer to, I'll tell you, I'm not really sure I know how to answer this, but you can reach out to me after this. If I make a research, I will give you feedback. And I'll say it with so much confidence. Because this is something that I know. I keep telling women that you need to know your onion.
Absolutely.
You need to be good at what you do, exceedingly so. So that's another way that like I'm trying to mention challenges and also like give you so overall I think that what stands out the most at every single time is that you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So whether or not they think you're worth it, that's that. I mean, that's life and we're living it.
Just I do a lot for you. You work a lot with people around mindset transformation.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like you've heard this so many times where people just say to you, oh, you know, I'm supposed to be confident. I've been told, you know, oh, I'm confident, you know, or I'm supposed to be. Or you hear people just say to you, or even something, I don't know what your experience was prior to, you know, building the company. But I'm pretty sure, like once in a lifetime, you've heard people just say to you, "Oh, you look like I'm very confident." You know, you can just do it. Just So naturally, what Amina said, that confidence is not always natural. You know, it doesn't come to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and what I want to ask is that is there like a daily practice or a habit that people can, especially women, you know, because it varies. Is there a daily practice or a habit that they can pick up to build that skill? Because really it's a skill, it's not a gift.
I completely agree. And, you know, this is something I always tell people. So I have this program that I run. It's called the Confidence Bootcamp. And one of the things we do there is to sort of break down what confidence really is.
Right.
And, you know, what you just said about confidence being the skill is what we start with. When you look, many people think like confidence is how well you are together, how eloquent you are, you know, all of those things. We're not saying it's not part of it, but it goes beyond that, which is what I also want to say about what she said about knowing your onions. So when we're talking about building like daily practices, what I always say is that competence is what leads to confidence. So if you,
I know that's right.
I mean, if you commit daily to, you know, the point of mastery, you'll find yourself becoming confident in that particular thing. There are people that you feel you are not confident enough because you know you don't know something about this thing. You've not really committed to it. You have not honed it properly. You have not given yourself to it to the point where you should. And it now feels like, I don't really know this thing. So when you are put to test, it looks as if you don't know. Another thing that people, when people say they lack confidence, when you are not able to see things through, is also a pointer that you probably lack confidence. So when you actually see things through, you commit to building competence. That's a very powerful thing to say. It's you just commit to mastery. Excellence is a non-negotiable for women that want to be in leadership and all of that. If you want to build confidence, excellence is non-negotiable.
So what about the people that say that they don't want to be leaders, especially for women, and they're okay with being in that realm, I guess?
I mean, that's fine. But people, if you are going to look for somebody to get the job done, you won't look for someone that will do it haphazardly. So whether or not you want to be a leader or be at the top, competence is still required. You still need to put in your best. You also need to, I think another way is, you need to do a lot of reframing and restructuring, which is also what I do.
Unlearning.
Yes, unlearning. Because we have been exposed to a lot of things growing up. These limiting beliefs, they have limited us for a very, very long time. And it's not really our fault. It's just what we've been exposed to. But then as you begin to grow and mature, the responsibility is on you to actually unlearn these things and break free from these beliefs, because they will actually limit you. So you have a responsibility that when these thoughts come, she was speaking about, getting into a space and wanting to prove yourself. The first thing that comes to your head when you get into that kind of space is that you really actually need to prove yourself. Do I even you begin to question whether you
begin to question yourself.
Do I belong here? What am I doing here? Imposter syndrome. All those thoughts come into your head.
You see, this crazy syndrome, this imposter syndrome that a lot of people experience. I mean, I don't have the statistics off the top of my head, but I do believe that it affects even some of the most successful.
Yes, yes.
How do I'll say my own experience, but how do you guys how are you able to recognize when it's happening? Because once you catch it at the beginning, then you're able to kind of talk yourself off the ledge. But when you don't know it's happening and it spirals into God knows what.
I think that that's one thing I forgot to mention. I think that unfortunately our upbringing, especially in this part of the world, I'm a northerner, so most of my references will be to northern Nigeria. I think that it has done a number on us. Because personally, as much as I grew up with Idapi to some extent, April, to some extent, he did not see the difference between a male and a female in the beginning, that is. No, to be honest, because when I started to really mature, he started to talk to me about marriage, and I'm like, I thought we were different. But in the beginning, he allowed me go into the business world, for example. He allowed me read books, like I read books, I read newspapers. He did not say, you are a girl.
You belong in the other.
Exactly. Just focus in the kitchen and all of that. Like, he allowed me. I went to the same school with my older brother, my younger ones. We went to the same school. It was basically we had similar opportunities while growing up, right? But I think that it still did a number on me because I was still surrounded by a lot of women because my mom, my stepmom rather, my parents actually divorced, but my stepmom who raised me. She's a typical northern woman. So she's like, when I lay the bed, just typical statements like that from childhood. So I had to.
What does mean? Because for the people that are not Nigerians and not Hausa as well.
It simply means, is this how you're going to see your husband's house? Like, you can't even, you're not.
And how old were you then?
I think secondary school, maybe almost just, but so probably 11-ish. Thereabouts.
That's really early,
right?
That is so early.
Well, because I am the first female child, so I have had to take responsibility
from a young age. I relate to it.
You recognize.
I am too.
So I've had to take responsibility quite early. I know that one time my mom lost her. I think was it on brother or something, and she had to travel, and I had to take charge at that particular time. So I've had to really, anyways. So what I'm saying is that it has done a number on us. That's why we need to unlearn. Like our traumas run deep, especially first daughters.
Yes,
there is a need.
Are you a first daughter?
I am.
So that was very passionate.
Like part of the healing is first identifying it. You need to first and foremost identify that the way we were raised has done a thing to us. It has been one of the reasons why that has birthed this imposter syndrome that shows up once in a while. I don't know for men, but I seldom think that men actually experience imposter syndrome.
Let's pose a question to the men on the webinar with us. Do you have imposter syndrome? And if you do, what does that look like?
Yeah.
And I think it would be interesting to also do like a social media poll.
Yes.
See the engagement level of men that, go through imposter syndrome. Do you have it? That's the first question. The second one is what does it look like for you? How does it come to you? And the third one is what is one thing you do to pull yourself out of it before it spirals? So I'll take your example now of what does that look like for you and how do you try to get around it?
Okay. I actually put up a post on LinkedIn a few days ago talking about recognizing imposter syndrome. And I illustrated it because I feel like maybe people would relate to it more.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that this shows up, it will definitely come up in your thoughts. You won't want to, it's not something that will be vocalized. So it will come up in your thoughts. And like I earlier said, when you get to a space, a new space, an event, somewhere where you just have to do something, and you're already questioning why you are there. You start asking yourself questions like, do I really belong here? Everything is just feeling intimidating to you.
Yeah.
You walk into a place, maybe it's even a speaking event, because imposter syndrome, let me speak pidgin now, they look face, it does not look at anybody. Because I've heard that even actresses in Hollywood still battle with imposter syndrome. So it's not a respecter of anybody. So but then when you get into a space and you are starting to question your ability, question why you are there, do you deserve to be in that room? That's already imposter syndrome. Another thing is dismissing your wins, achievements, where you just start feeling like maybe I was lucky. And I feel like maybe it springs, well, we're talking about women, but I feel like women also have this more, where you just really want to just dismiss. It happened, so maybe I was just lucky. Maybe, or someone compliments you. Let's even go to the basic thing. Someone compliments you on something that you have done. You don't know how to accept compliments.
You're like, women suffer that one. I have male friends do that. If I say, "Oh, you look so nice," then they try to downplay the thing and say, this hair is nice, this hair is old. So when you start to
and what most people don't know, that's imposter syndrome.
Yes.
When you're dismissing compliments that come your way, the first step of actually getting through it is acknowledging the compliment that's coming your way. Oh, thank you. Then you can go ahead to explain. I don't even know why you need to explain.
No need.
When we're in school, if you see a girl that has long hair, because I went to an Islamic school, so you seldom see hair. But when we're performing ablution and you're like, oh my god, your hair is so long, she's like, it has even cut.
Oh God.
Thank you, Amu. And that's something that we also have to unlearn, because I know I found myself almost, if someone says something, I'm like, this thing, I have to catch myself and say thank you and just move on. So that's another way. And there's another part to that receiving compliments. It can be criticism. That one will just send you down spiral,
rabbit hole.
I'm telling you, because someone they give you something, feedback, and you start to think about everything that has happened in your life and say they found me out. The imposter syndrome, the people often say that it's you feeling like a fraud, so you just feel like, yes, it has happened, they found me. Instead of actually just taking it and trying to say, okay, what did I do? What can I do? And all of that. So I feel these are just a few ways. There are a lot, but these are just a few ways.
Okay.
The last one she mentioned, this particular last one she mentioned, I think I still battle it.
Okay. I hope that you guys have done engagements with the polls. The question again is, who here has ever felt like they were not good enough, quote and unquote, even when they are more than qualified? You can drop a hint in the chat box, or you can always engage with the social media posts that are going to go out after this. Our next question.
I remember just one thing.
Sure.
So another way I think imposter syndrome helps get curtailed is that you surround yourself. I'm not saying seek validation in people, but I think it's important to surround yourself with people who identify your greatness and tell you.
Yes.
People who do not admire quietly. So when I started dating the person I'm currently dating, he said that I have So I do things effortlessly. Some things just come to me effortlessly. But when I do them, people are like, "Oh my god, this is so." But to me, it's just like, it's so basic. Like I just sat down 1 minute and I did
That in itself is a problem.
And I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something about that.
So
But
what he said to me was, "Babe, if you see, I wish that you could see yourself from my lens. Like you could see yourself the way I see you.
I wish we had that audio. Oh.
If you see yourself the way I see you, you will know how absolutely amazing you are at the things that you do." That particular thing,
Validation.
that one thing he said changed something in me. I'm not saying the importance of
As
it
in?
disappeared. I'm not saying that it disappeared completely.
Yeah.
But that it was the passion with which it came with the raw honesty with which he said it. You know, it's like, I mean, I did. So yeah, I think surround yourself with people who
will remind you.
You remind you.
Yes.
They don't admire quite. There are people that are smitten by the way you do your things. And they're your friends, but they will never say it.
Yeah.
They'll never tell you, "Oh my god, Amina, you speak so beautifully." And I have personal experiences, but recently the friends I've been making lately, today before I came here, Hassan was telling me, "Amina, you are the most brilliant person I know." Legit, she told me that, "Amina, you are the most brilliant person I know." Imagine hearing this thing over and over.
Yes,
Just
it
imagine
really
what that
it fuels
You were
you.
gonna say something before you forget.
Yeah, I was going to say what she said about, this thing comes easy to you. And that's another thing that, happens to the best of us, actually. And I always say to people, don't trivialize what comes easy to you, because it is mind-blowing to other people. And that's why people will sit and be like,
Wow.
And I've had this experience myself. When I want to do something and you are coming across somebody that is looking at it as if you fell from heaven, they're like, wow. And in your mind, they're like, yeah, is this
They're
just
like,
basic thing? So, having people now remind you that this is
actually
great.
amazing.
It might look normal to you, but having people remind you, it just fuels you up. So it's really important.
I know we're probably going to knock me, but one. So in this thing about
This is your second one last
about things that come easily to you. So I host corporate events, and I know that before I did my rate card in the beginning, when I started earlier, my rate was not really. I did not even have a rate card. And so somebody reached out to me and they're like, "Oh, I wanted to host this," and I think I charged them something really low. And he was like, "But do you know that you're in Abuja? Why would you charge these people this?" I'm like, "It's just talking. Like it's something I enjoy doing."
Yeah.
Like, it's because it comes easily to you.
Yeah.
That's why you're not putting the right figure to it. Put the right figure. Imagine it does not come easy to you, and bill it like your boss. Bill it. And since then, I bill it, please.
Okay, well, yes to sending our rate cards. Right?
Cheers.
Okay, so we have to move on because I know this conversation is very interesting, but we do have to move on to other topics. A lot of people have a fear of failure. This fear of failure, tying it back to something that you said earlier about competence and mastery, because some people are afraid that they might not do a fantastic job, or they're afraid that what they're trying to do is not going to come out to the level of expectation that they think you have of them or whatever, right? It keeps a lot of people from making bold decisions. Why is that? Because for the life of me, when I see potential in people, I expect excellence. I don't care what level you are, right? But what is that fear of failure, and why does it stop people from trying to get to that place where they should be? And the third part of that question is, what is the best way to reframe the idea of failure as part of your growth?
Let me answer one first.
Okay. All right.
Yes, our mindset coach.
Okay.
So that I'll not throw her shit.
So failure, I think one of the major reasons why people are scared or have that fear of failure is, I want to say, the way failure has been rewarded. I don't know if that's the exact word, but what happens when you fail? And this also stems from how we grew up. So you fail. Let's use the word fail now. So you make a mistake, you fail at something. What comes after? We're not telling anybody to coddle you, but some people have had to endure some very extreme things when they fail or they make mistakes. And because of that, that fear naturally would spring up whenever, they're about to do something else. So how do we break this? It's not easy. I will not even tell you that it's easy, because even as you mature, as you grow, you still have those times where you want to venture into something, particularly something that maybe you've not done before, right? And it just comes again. And the way the mind is very powerful.
Yeah.
It begins to remind you. It will give you evidences and receipts, even from your childhood, of when you did this and you failed at it, and you begin to spiral. So it comes with basically just reframing your thoughts. And again, I think we should embrace it. Yeah, it's okay to fail, but what happens afterwards is what really matters. What do you do when you fail or when you make a mistake? There's always a learning curve, which is what we should hold on to.
Yeah.
And this is the difference between having a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So when you have a fixed mindset, you see that failure as the end. You have been condemned. Nothing good can ever come out of this. You begin to make some very, very, very serious and final statements, forgetting that you can actually take a step back and see, okay, what happened? What can I pick up from this? Because ask everybody that has gotten it right. Are they going to tell you that? Well, I won't say, because I met somebody just a few weeks ago who said that it's possible that you can do something and you do it once. So I'm not going to dispute that you can actually do something once like that, and do it well. But there are times, more often than not, actually, that you may have to do it a couple of times.
Yeah, it depends on what you're doing. If you're doing something that is like a sprint, not a marathon, you could actually see to doing it once. But if it's something that I'm just trying to analyze.
I get you.
Of course, you might likely happen.
Exactly. So it's okay. We need to keep telling ourselves a lot of things that have to do with the mind. You have to reframe it to what will help you move forward.
Right.
Because if you stay there thinking that is the end, everybody's looking at you, now you have failed, how do you stand up from here? These are some of the thoughts that run through our minds. You won't be able to move forward and do anything. But how do you reframe it when it happens? Failure is hard. It is very painful. So we're not going to sit here and tell you that it's when it comes, you're not going to say, yes, let's move forward. It would shake you because you're human. But what you do after that is what makes sense and what makes the difference. So you reframe it by telling yourself, what can I learn from this? When you take a step back, what can I do to make it or have a different outcome?
Right.
Or sometimes it may mean that you need to even speak to somebody else so that you will see from a different perspective. So there are so many strategies that can help you, leverage on failure to get to the point of success. Right.
That's good. I really like that. The point where you made on what did you learn from this? How uncomfortable was it? If you had to measure the degree of failure and how it made you feel, what was the degree? Was it a 1 out of 5? Was it a 4? And if it was a 4, what feeling did you get? Was it that it was this
cringy?
Cringy feeling. Was it that it felt like the room was spinning too fast? Is it that you felt like there were too many eyes on you and were they judgy? And when you're trying to think about what you learned from it, if you remember what that feeling was, then it might be easier for you to catch it the next time it happens.
Yes.
It's gonna come.
Yes.
It's gonna come. But what do you think of it?
So for me, I'm just gonna start with Titi Lopez. Titi Lopez, by the way, is my favorite Nigerian poet, and she said in one of her poems, she said, "Becoming is hard, but staying the same is even harder." So what she said about growth mindset, I think that's as adults in Nigeria, I don't know for other parts of the world, because I have traveled, but I have lived here most of my life, all of my life actually. One thing that I always tell adults is that we need to unlearn a lot of things that we got from our childhood. We need to heal from our traumas. Our trauma shows up in different ways. One of it is the fear of failure because of the result of what you previously had. I have a friend who he came second once in the entire school life when he was in primary school, secondary school, just once. And he said his father did not talk to him for days because he came second. How dare he? So typically the way he is at the moment is that he literally shakes at the thought of failure.
Yeah.
He cannot fathom it. It is important that we accept failure.
Yes.
As
As part of the process.
And
Yes.
integral. It is an
Yes.
integral part of growth.
Yes.
I cannot begin to overemphasize. In fact, I think that it is important that you feel at something.
True.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Yeah.
I think that they used to say that nothing teaches you like experience. It is very, very vital that you learn through failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying, one thing that makes failure even harder as adults is because you get to a particular stage in your life and the failure costs you a lot of things.
Mm.
It will cost you time, it will cost you money.
Yeah.
You just feel like one thing and you are scared. I like personally, my dad was really strict while we're growing up. So we're not really allowed to fail. Right? Even things like you don't have that privilege. You will dare not. You are not allowed to fail. I graduated with 2-2. My dad did not allow me to hear the end of it. And the tutu was like really strong tutu, like on your way to 2-1, but you just didn't make
just
it.
right on the cusp of it.
But I could not. It shows up and it affects me. But one thing I have learned over time is that I need to make peace with how I was raised. Yes, it is what it is. However, I have gotten to a point in my life that it is now my decision.
Yeah.
If I want to continue to fall back to small things, it's my trauma. You get to a point where it is no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is not your responsibility.
Yeah.
Imagine I'm 45 and I wake up and I'm shitty to you and I tell you that I'm so sorry I'm
trauma,
like this. It's just the way I was
They'll
raised.
just look at you like,
Yeah, but that's the thing. The onus is on you to go through those life-changing situations
Part of
to
the life-
fix yourself.
Exactly.
yes.
No one expects you to be 100%.
Yeah.
There are
But you
certain
need to
things
do the
that
work.
Yeah, you have to do the work.
Mhm.
And before I forget, I was gonna say something. When you made the comment about it is important for people to fail at something.
Yeah.
Recently, when I meet people that are, especially at conferences or like speaking engagements, they're very bold. They're always very like big. Their personality is huge. When they're like talking about their lives and their work, well, primarily it's work because it's a professional setting, and I'm not necessarily like taking on friends all the time.
Yeah.
So when I meet people and they're this like bold personality and whatnot, when I ask them, I'm like, tell me when you say, oh, what have you done? What do you do? What's your work? How many countries you traveled to? Fine. I always find a way to put this question into people. So what have you failed at recently?
Good question.
Yeah. What have
It will humanize people.
Yes, it humanizes people and it also allows them to take a step back from this beautiful high horse that they're on.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might not be as a cause of arrogance. It
Yeah.
might be as a cause of overconfidence.
Yes.
Some people are just naturally confident in who they are right now, that they forget when they're speaking to other people that they are projecting too much.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying dim your light for anyone. No, don't dim your light for anyone. But you
Nobody should
have
buy
to
something.
feel there needs to be a part of you that
Feels
people
very
can-
human.
Yes.
Relate to.
That's relatable.
So what have you failed at recently? I always ask that question.
So that's
And-
like, whoa.
yeah, and based on one, either how they're taken aback, or
Yeah.
two, how they respond, I'll be like, okay, did it work? Did it not work? Because I'm tired of hearing success stories. It's not all beautiful.
At all.
You know,
It's not all beautiful.
Let's not whine ourselves.
I recently I wrote a book. Was it last 2 years? And while I was writing that book, I discovered something which I now wrote in the book, that there are some tech founders abroad who have a convention. You know how they have this something con. They
Yeah.
call it FailCon. And I was like, which one is this one? Because in that particular chapter, I was talking about how to handle failure. And then they all come together, like startup guys, they come together. And the idea is that everybody begins to talk about what they failed at, different
And what lesson they learned from
lessons they learned. So, I was first thinking that, how will it be to be in that kind of room? But you can imagine these people, now they are succeeding, but the idea is to be relatable, like you said, and, just for people to be able to draw experiences and for you to know that if you want to go on this path, it's not all rosy. You would fail, you may fail, and this is what you can do to recover from that. So I found it very, very interesting.
That's very interesting. I think I need to research more about that.
Yeah.
But we're going to take a 5-minute break to give people time to answer this question. What did you fail at recently? How did you overcome it? And what are you planning to do for the future? Welcome back, and thank you very much, Thelma, for your insightful session. We're going to wrap up with questions to all the speakers, and we hope that this webinar was fantastic for all our viewers. So, for Thelma, Adeola, and Amina, I'd like to give you the floor to answer some final questions.
All right.
If you could give one piece of advice to a woman looking to step into a leadership role, what would it be? Adeola, you go first. Our mindset coach.
All right. I think for me, I'd say you need to start thinking like a pioneer. So you need to have like a pioneer's mindset. And what that means is many times or sometimes you may not have a map. You may not have a route to follow. You may actually have to pave the way by yourself. And also to remember that maybe there are people coming after you. So you need to think like that to be able to step into that role. You also need to understand that it doesn't have to be all perfect. Yeah, you also need to, because to be honest, perfectionism, contrary to popular opinion, perfectionism is not the requirement for anything. It is hardly a requirement for anything. Yeah. Progress is what really matters. And so when you begin to think about it that, I can take this step today, you don't need to have the full map. You don't need to have the full picture. You don't need to wait for everything to become right and perfect before you take a step, right? Which is what I was saying about having that pioneer's mindset. When you think about it as a progressive thing, it makes you step in, much more easier than waiting for everything to become perfect. Yeah. So that's what I would say.
Okay, great. Progress, not perfection.
Absolutely.
What about you?
So for me, I'm gonna say that I know that it's gonna sound cliche, but first and foremost that you are enough, because of the time I know that we have been brought up to believe that we are not enough, or not enough in leadership positions, so to say. Where we are enough is usually when it comes to cooking, cleaning, and all of that. But I want to tell you that if you can dream it, this is maybe
I agree.
If you can actually think it, you can bring it to life.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that nobody has it all completely figured out.
Yes.
We are figuring it out while we're at it. You know that I like my circle of friends. So we say that we're going to do it afraid, we're going to do it shaking, we're going to do it unsure, but most importantly, we are going to do it.
That's it.
And we are doing it.
Yeah.
I want you to do the same for yourself. You will be afraid. It's part of it, but most importantly, with the fear, with the palpitations, with the anxiety, you name it, make sure that you are doing it, and do not wait until you have it all figured out. It has stopped us. Like Hasana, my friendship with Hasana is something that I actually adore. She said, so I was trying to say, I'm going to do this, but I don't have this, I don't have that. She said, Amina, people like you really want things to be perfect, and you wake up at 50, you have not done anything with your life. It was so hungry, but I needed to hear it.
We like you.
Yeah, she likes you a lot. That's very good advice.
She said, you're just waiting for things to be perfect.
Yeah.
You can improvise, like it could be start from somewhere.
Yes.
Do the same. Like you don't have to see the entire staircase. Start with the first step in front of you.
Word.
And
So
get it
small steps. There's this quote that I know. I think that was when the Americans went to the moon.
Okay.
One small step for I don't know if it was the person. So who went to the moon now? Armstrong.
Yes, Armstrong. Neil Armstrong.
One small step for him, one giant step for humanity.
Mm.
Yeah. So small.
One last thing I wanted to
Go ahead.
refrain from comparison. Oh my god. I think
that's going to be a better answer for the next question.
Oh, okay.
Actually, if I think about it.
Okay, I'll just let it be at one small step and one giant leap for humanity.
Yeah.
So for yourself, one giant leap.
So I think for me, if I would give one piece of advice for a woman looking to step into a leadership position, I would tell you to believe and trust that you're there and for a reason. And by the time you walk into that room, or by the time you're making that decision to go into that leadership role, there's a reason why it's happening. You have to trust yourself. You have to trust your own capabilities, and you have to also believe that you can be able to do it. Yeah. So the second question, what changes do you hope to see for women in leadership? What changes do you hope to see, either from them or from the world around us? And you can use Nigeria as an example.
Women in leadership.
Or Rwanda, or Ghana, or anywhere.
So you want me to go first?
No, you can go.
I think first and foremost, please, in the wake of recent happenings, women in leadership, I need you to know that by the time, as leadership as an entity by itself, that we are a minority. We're already a minority, and that's kind of fit into it. It already looks like it's a casualty. I'm not trying to be, aspire to aspire kind of thing. But for real, because we're already a minority, we no longer have the privilege to not be together. We cannot not support each other.
Yes.
We cannot compete with each other. We need to be voices that stand together. Because Elizabeth, one of my staff, was saying that she was doing a script for our FGM week thingy, and she was saying something like, remember that a broom sweeps cleaner than one single broom. And I know that it's an old adage, but
it's an African proverb.
Yeah, but I've forgotten about anything like that existing. But it took a moment, I'm like reflecting, like, spot on.
That is true.
I need us women leaders to rally around each other and be our support system. One thing I've come to realize is that one of the easiest way that they try to break us every time is, okay, for example, let's take it out to the music industry. When two women come out and they're singing, and for example, I don't know if you know, like Nikki and Cardi B that time, the first thing they wanted to do was to put one silly beef between them, rather than allowing them to come together and put their fan base together and make more money out of it and be stronger.
Yeah.
But it's the one thing that they always try to do first and foremost is to throw in one animosity between us, so that you see the next woman and your first thought is, what does she even think she is? It's so unnecessary.
It is.
We need each other. We're already a minority as far as leadership. For example, the Senate only has 4 women.
4 women.
They need to be together and not separated. That's why. Okay, let me know.
Adeola, over to you.
Yes, very powerful point. And just to add to that, we need to leverage on collaborating together. You understand? So coming together is really powerful. I think what I will add to that is we need to lose our anchors. You know what an anchor is? It holds maybe a ship or a boat to just keep it, so that it doesn't drift. But we have come to a point where, with all the happenings and all of these things that we're talking about, it's time for us to actually ditch these anchors. Now, the anchors they were supposed to keep us safe for a particular period of time. But we have come to the point now where we have to lose them. And when we talk about anchors, we have the internal and the external one. So there will be a time where you need to summon up courage for you to take, become bold and audacious and all of that. But we also have systematic anchors, and this is what women have had to fight through from time immemorial. We are still fighting it today. So even in your workplace, she was sharing an experience earlier. You will get to a point where these things there are already structures there, and you need to fight them and fight through these anchors to be able to penetrate into whatever space and sphere that you. So you need to identify what your anchors are, and you need to fight through them. And just lose them. That's the word. Dismantle
them.
Because let me give you a practical example. This whole Senator Natasha and the Senate President thing. You know what it has?
If Akpabio comes to look for you, I don't know don't come and look for me.
So you know what it has bettered, that invariably now it means that the next female senator who will be harassed by anyway, she'll find it hard to come out and talk because she'll be thinking, 6 months suspension is not a joke for me.
Without pay.
So it has
without pay.
It has silenced everybody now who have the audacity to want to come out.
What did she say when she was walking away?
This injustice will not be sustained.
This injustice will not be sustained. Our heart goes out to Senator Natasha
completely,
and I hope that this alleged case has been or will be resolved one way or the other. We do need to stick with one another, and we definitely need to use those anchors, because at this point, it's better to drift than to be in one place.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes.
And for International Women's Day celebration, the theme this year is Accelerate Action. What does Accelerate Action mean to you? Any of you?
For me, it's going to be like for the work that I do. So we do a lot around sexual reproductive health and rights. For me, it's going to be stepping out from, sessions where we do tea breaks, have conversation and talk, to actually go into the grassroots.
Okay.
So I think in summary, for me, it's going to be living, planning into execution. Stepping out from planning and moving into execution.
Yeah.
And not just any kind of execution, because we have spent so much time in the planning phase. I am expecting the execution to be seamless.
And guess what? The execution will not be seamless.
So for me, Accelerate Action is going to be that we're not just talking. I just read something. Somebody was saying that International Women's Day is it's too special for us to attribute it to any kind of tokenism.
Yeah.
We like, for real, it is roused me up when people find International Women's Day as a time to
be sharing
canopy and do share cake and
just do the pose.
Like,
not on this webinar.
I want us to actually accelerate action.
Yeah.
And reach out. The people who even need this thing the most are not. I want the commonest.
Then they're not.
I want the Fulani woman in her ruga, like the Fulani houses in the bush, to know what International Women's Day is and feel it. And I'm not talking about taking to go because often when you say empower women, the next thing they want to go and bring sewing machine, grinding machine.
I don't believe in empowerment. I believe in development.
Thank you.
That's good.
So for me, that is Accelerate Action. Enough of the sewing machine. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to do the sewing machine.
Yeah.
But please, enough of the sewing machine. Because as soon as it's empowerment, buy 100 sewing machine and share for the women.
So
Then bag of rice, when the bag of rice runs out, and here what's next?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
for me, it will be living the talking, the plenty planning. If I hear one more, let's do one more policy. If I hear one more, we need a policy for this.
Please let the policy people not come and find
I
us.
will lose it. The ones that we have, it's about time that we put them in action.
Yeah.
We need to see them work. Enough. So for me, that's Accelerate Action. Think, planning, and going to execution.
I agree. I completely agree. And similarly to what I do as well, a lot of people, and I have a problem with people that just talk. A lot of people seems they have great ideas. So when you are in a session with somebody, okay, you have come to me for accountability or to help you, just all of those things. They have great ideas, but what's going on? You will hear 1,001 excuses. Different things. Some will stem up from the traumas that they are dealing with, the experiences, they have blah, blah, So we have had enough of that. I think it's time for us to step in and start taking action. We need to bridge that gap between intention and execution. Last year I started what I call the Audacious Woman Conference, and it's to help women make bold moves. And we just we gather like that, talk about those things we really want to do. If you hear certain things, people have held on to things that they wanted to do for long.
Yeah.
Get to church.
Okay. And they're not able to get these things done. Why? That's when you begin to hear stories. So it's about time we stopped talking and we started doing, right? So that's what Accelerate Action means to me. We need to get on it speedily.
One last thing I wanted to add is that
this is your one last one.
As far as excuses are concerned, I want to assure you that you will never run out of them.
Oh yeah.
If you're looking for an excuse to not do things,
in fact, there are lots.
There's
you
more
will
excuses
never
than reasons.
That's
ever
true.
run out of them. So it's left for you to not find your reason. Let the excuses go. You will never run out of them. So if you're looking for a day where you wake up and there will be no excuse,
It's not coming.
Sweetheart, I am sorry to break it to you. You will not find that day. It's not coming.
So for me, Accelerate Action means that women don't need to be breaking biases. They don't need to be breaking stereotypes. They don't need to be breaking barriers. What it means for me is doing everything I can for myself as an individual and what my company does across the continent, those barriers should just cease to exist. I don't know why I need to be fighting a barrier. I don't know why I need to be breaking anything. I'm a female. Why do I need to be breaking something? I can't be breaking at this age. I cannot be breaking after this much time, doing a lot of important work on the continent across multiple sectors. And I feel there's a lot of women that feel the exact same way, which is why they just be like, okay, well, the system's already against us. Oh, it's a man's work. Oh, it is work.
Let's just resign.
I understand the importance of what this theme is for this year, but I also understand how difficult it can be for many people in this position. Nobody wants to keep fighting a losing battle. Nobody wants to keep fighting the same losing war. So accelerate action for me means that we are not breaking barriers. The barriers should just exist.
Thank you. It's beautiful.
Really good.
All right. This was a very interesting conversation.
It was.
For us to pave the way forward, I want you, off the top of your head, to mention 5 women that are doing great things. Let the audience go and find them. List 5 women, and you're gonna start now. You first.
Okay, for me, I'm gonna start with Hassan Amaina. Absolutely adore her. You absolutely. That's Habiba Waziri. So before you say, some people don't know you. Habiba Waziri. I think that when I met you the first time at the UN House. I like to tell stories, but. Yeah, and I follow the work that you did. I'm like, she is the person I want to be in the future if I work on it. Then of course myself, hello, have you seen the work that I do? And that's 3 off the top of my head. Priye Diri, she's so these are really women that are in my circle, and I adore the work that they do because they're really doing amazing work. Because I see the work that she basically works around violence and helping survivors and all of that, and she does beautiful work. And I mean, Sally who, but she's deputy country director for MacArthur Foundation. Okay. I
don't know her, but I'll look her up.
I love. She has this insightful thoughts. I absolutely. No, I love this woman. I actually have more than 5 because I also look at Chioma from TechHam, and I love the work that she also does. This woman are women that I pick inspiration from, and this other woman, no, she's not a Nigerian though. Preeti Haman, she's the founder of Nguvu Collective, and I love the work that she's doing with Nguvu.
Where is that? Kenya?
Yes, Kenya, across Kenya, Nigeria, India. Like she works across, and I absolutely adore this woman.
Okay, that's how many? 6.
I actually mentioned
7. All right, go ahead.
Okay, for me, I think anybody who knows me well will know Debola Deji Kurome, popularly known as DDK. She's a phenomenal woman. I think that's what I'll say about her. She's a great transformational coach, and just check her out. So you will see what I'm saying. And then of course myself. Adeola Do. Right. We also have, I think, Ibukwa Woshika. I recently just started, I know her, I've heard of, but then I recently just started listening to her and following her work, and I think it's really good. And this woman that I also recently came across, very randomly, I don't know if I'll get her surname right. Her name is Doreen, maybe it's Oromo, let me not murder it. But I think what she does is very, very great. She helps sex workers, and she helps to rehabilitate them. And I think that's really very fantastic. So you can also check out, that's how many now? That's 4. The 5th person. What am I going to mention now?
Just put my name.
This is a problem that you cannot mention 5 people. Go ahead. Without including yourself. Go ahead.
Without including I already included myself.
Yeah, so that's fine. The 5th person.
The 5th person, I think I have quite number. Oh yes, of course. Sarah Jakes Roberts. Yes. Sarah, she's also not a Nigerian, and she's doing it very fantastic. With these people, I really appreciate their work because it's tied to something that I do, and it has also helped me in my journey. So this is why I've mentioned these people. So Sarah Jakes Roberts.
Okay, I'll list my 5. So number 1 is my sister, Amira Adamu-Waziri. She works in the mining space.
Wow.
Yeah. If you want to do mining in Nigeria, you need her. But yeah, she's brilliant mind. Brightest future that she has, that young lady. Second person, I would say Aisha Shaibu. She works in sports. She runs an agency, and her core focus area is sports, and she's doing fantastic things.
Interesting.
Zainab Yau, she runs Asali campaign, so trying to curtail and do advocacy around skin bleaching. Yeah, and in Nigeria. So she's doing great work as well. That's three. The fourth person I would say would be Iris Urumba. She runs a consulting firm quite similar to mine, but she also has this Women in Leadership Summit that happens every year in Rwanda, and it's coming up actually in 2 weeks. So she's also doing fantastic work around women empowerment. And I think the fifth person, because there's too many of them, I'm trying not to piss anybody off. I'm trying not to piss anybody off. But this fifth person is, her name is Stokes Ayla. She does amazing work around. You guys would actually get on so well. You guys do a lot of, your work is very similar. So she does, Stokes Ayla. I'll connect you with her.
All right.
So she's a personal development coach. She works in sports. She works in strategy. She works in consulting. But more importantly, she's representing us today in Lagos at this International Women's Day event that we have in partnership with Munida. And she's also going to sit in my place to judge the part of the jury for the Pitch Prize Challenge of women leaders that are pitching for a chance to win 500,000 naira. So she's doing fantastic work, and I'm so proud that at least I know these people. I can shout them out, and all the people that you've mentioned today, we're also going to look into what they're doing and. From these 5, I hope it reaches to 500, 5,000 to 5 billion. But yes, thank you guys so much. This was honestly like a great conversation. Shout out to my team for putting it together. I'm really proud of them. But yeah, I'm very happy that we had this conversation, and I look forward to hosting you guys again soon. And I hope to come and celebrate your own work around your companies.
Definitely.
So cheers. Happy International Women's Day.
Yay.